So tell us about your new novel, The Searcher.
Well, it's kind of the first book of a new series character called Solomon Creed, and he is a very enigmatic, mysterious man. He starts off walking down a road in Arizona. He's got no shoes on his feet, he's got a nice suit on, he can't remember how he got there, he doesn't know who he is, can't even remember his name. The only way he knows his name is because it's written in the label of his jacket. And ahead of him is a town, and he has this real feeling that there's someone there who can explain who he is. And this name pops in his head. And behind him there's a burning plane on the road, he can't remember if he was on it. And there's emergency vehicles screaming towards him, and they go straight past to put out the fire, and the police chief comes up and he says, "Do you know this guy? You know, in the town, does he live in the town?" And the police chief says, "Yes, he does." And he goes, "Oh, good, I think I'm here to save him." And the police chief says, "Well, we buried him this morning." And so the whole thing is, how do you save, the central thing is, how do you save a man who is already dead?
Right, right. Oh, wow.
So there you go. So it's kind of quite sort of mysterious, very sort of enigmatic beginning, and then he goes to this, and the town's full of, the town's called Redemption, and it's an old
Is that a name of an actual town in Arizona, or?
It's the name of an actual town in Arizona that I made up.
Oh, okay. So it's a fictional town.
Yeah, it is. I went to Arizona on a research trip, and I tried to find a place that fitted what I needed to do for the story, and there were a few that were close. So it's based on sort of Tucson. It's based on a place called Bisbee, which is a mining town. It's based on a place called Superior, which is kind of almost like a halfway to being a ghost town, old mining town, and elements of my own stuff in there as well. So it's because no town actually fit exactly what the story needed to do, I just invented one. I always seem to do that. With my trilogy, I ended up inventing a city called Ruin. It's like, no, if it doesn't fit, I make it up.
Yeah, that's what's fun about fiction, that you could make it up.
Exactly. The clue is in the title. It's fiction. You can make stuff up.
Right.
As long as you're in the front and say, this is actually made up and whatever. Although I get into trouble, like with my first one, with the trilogy, the Sanctus trilogy. I got loads of emails from people saying, oh, you know, we read the book and then we tried to Google Ruin because we wanted to go there on holiday, and it doesn't exist.
Oh, and they were angry about that?
They're kind of angry about it. And I was like, it's fiction. It's not like a travel guide.
Yeah.
There you go. But that's good. I guess if they
right,
believe.
It felt so real to them.
Exactly, and that's the kind of trick with these sort of things, because for me, like, place is very crucial to the story.
Yeah.
The environment. I mean, that's why I wanted to set in a desert. It's a really harsh environment.
Is that partly what made you want to set it in Arizona? Because you were from London, correct? Okay. Yeah. So why Arizona? Besides, so I know the desert.
Well, I wanted a sort of elemental, almost otherworldly place. I wanted him, and there's a lot of the fire is a big theme. So basically, this crash plane starts a wildfire, and it threatens the town, and so there's all, there's sort of it's kind of consequences from the starting point of the crash plane and him walking away from it and trying to remember who he is. The fire is like a physical, real threat, and I kind of wanted, this theme of fire, and this kind of scorched earth, this desert, this very elemental, almost otherworldly location. It's a place scrubbed clean as he is as a person, and it's so it matches his character. And it's just this lovely image, you often, which you on the cover, of this guy just walking through the desert, with no shoes on and a suit on, just going, what is he doing? And he can't remember.
Right, right. And had you been to Arizona before your research trip?
Yeah, years ago I went to Arizona. I sort of drove across America just after coming out of college with a couple of friends, and we went through Arizona and sort of Flagstaff and Grand Canyon and all that kind of stuff, and I loved it. It was just like so beautiful and harsh and hostile and just unlike coming from
so different
coming from leafy green England and going somewhere with the saguaro cactuses and all that sort of stuff, and the spiky plant, everything's hostile, and the heat is, unbelievable, and the smell of the desert and the rain. And I always wanted to go back, and I went back again on a book tour. I went to Scottsdale's famous bookstore there, Poison Pen, so I went there.
Cool.
And then I went for a couple of weeks as a research trip specifically for this book, and just, traveled around trying to find this place that I ultimately couldn't find. But I took lots of pictures, and so the town of Redemption in the book is made up. It's like a kind of collage of, loads of these, lots of these stuff that I went and did, and And but you always, for this, because I didn't grow up in the desert, I really wanted to go there and eat the food and smell the smell. Unless you smelt the rain in the desert in the rain, that kind of creosote smell, that sort of like earth smell. You kind of can't write about it. I think
Right.
It's got to feel real. You've got to kind of know what you're talking about. So.
Yeah, I always wonder that if people who write books set in a place so different than where they're from, if they've been there and experienced it.
Well, I mean, part of it is, that's, as a writer, as a reader, you want to read books that transport you and take you somewhere else, either back in time or to a different place or to a different country. And as a writer, you want to do the same thing. You want to do something that interests you.
Right.
And lots of people use it to explore their own environment and their own lives, and because they know it very well, you don't have to research it, and they set it in their own life and in their own time. But I haven't done that yet. I haven't set a single book in England. I think it's partly because I'm just interested in other countries and other cultures and other, the history of, this very much deals with the history of Arizona. So, there's a whole story about how this town, Redemption, this mining town, came to be. And the founding father wrote this memoir, and the memoir's dotted through, and his story about how he founded the town has implications in the modern time. So it's like buried history is not. I just and I love westerns and all that kind of the kind of modern myth of the American West, and it was my way of writing a modern western, but with a kind of modern thriller engine of a narrative, like going straight through it. So it's kind of an excuse for me really to kind of to find out about things that I'm interested in. I'm not interested in my own life. I know about that. I want to write, research other things. Also, there's a technical challenge as well as a writer to do that thing of, being able to get the dialogue right and all that kind of stuff. I have, a lot of American writer friends who I've met at places like ThrillerFest, and I kind of, gave them a look at it and said, just knock out anything that sounds like an English guy trying to write American, So hopefully we managed to do that. But it's, it's very, it was. I loved writing it actually, and it's.
How long did it take you to write it?
It took me to actually write it. It probably took me about 12 months. But then the research beforehand was, and reading as well about history of the copper boom times in the 1880s. Before, when Arizona was a territory before it became a state. I probably spent about 3 or 4 months on that, including the trip. So all told, it was about 18 months to write the book. It was quite long. My first draft as well, because there was so much in it, was about 180,000 words, and then now it's about 120. So there was like another half a book's worth of stuff that just went. But the character, because he's very enigmatic as well, he is the mystery. The central mystery of the book is the main character and him trying to find out who he is. And that's actually quite hard to pull off on the page. It's the sort of thing in the movies you do really because you cast it with someone who looks interesting and you point a camera and they don't have to say anything and you project. But on the page, if you have someone not saying anything, they disappear. So you have to, pulling off...
that is a really big challenge.
So pulling off an enigmatic character on the page is an entirely different thing. And it took me, I kind of stumbled toward or circled it and then, just tried things out and what worked and whatever. And, they have a danger of becoming too passive, which obviously is death in a thriller. They need to be driving the action. So the editing process was long as well. It was a tough book to write, but I'm really proud of it. And it's like, it's sort of, new character, new epic journey he's going on, and it's just interesting. It's kind of giving me sort of scope to just go. I mean, I can take him anywhere. That's the other thing.
And now, so this is the first book
in France. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you've taken this character, and he's going to be going.
That's it. He's on a journey through the world, through the past, through the history of the world as well. And there's a notion of, is he a supernatural character? Is he mad? Is he insane? Is he just sort of, is he reincarnated? He has these memories of things that he can't possibly have lived through, or is it just like a memory? And because he can't remember where, he may have read it, but because he can't remember that he read it, it feels like a real memory. So it's all kind of unpicking that. It's about the unreliability of memory. It's about identity, really. I think all of my books are about identity and people finding out who they are, which I think resonates because we're all trying to do that.
Yeah,
we're all on a journey, and this is a big journey. Everyone's on a journey, to try and find out who they are and what they're about. So.
Yeah, very true. Well, thanks so much for speaking
with us.
Oh,
not at all. Thank you very much for asking me, and I hope people like it.